recognition of familiarity is not always the absolute truth. And you're only going to learn that with experience. Before we go into the rest of this, let me give everyone a little bit of context because you're kind of coming into the middle of a 4-hour ceremony of remembrance group. And these are live monthly gatherings where we kind of all come together. We talk about real life stuff, meditations, past lives. We do guided meditations. We have honest reflections, honest conversations. But during this particular ceremony, a student shared an experience that he had after he did the Courts of Heaven meditation, one of the Courts of Heaven meditations that I had. And then he had a very vivid dream. I want to help people understand how to receive the information correctly, document it, understand what you're being shown without allowing your mind to take one piece of information and put together the whole motherfucking story. We don't jump to conclusions, right? So this is a real look inside that actual process. Can you give us a little bit, just a brief, quick synopsis of your journey and what actually brought you here that then brought you to, meditation and then the Courts of Heaven? Can you just explain that to everybody real quick?
Yeah, so I recently had my awakening back in, I want to say the end of March of this year. So it's only been so many months ago, that I actually reached awakening. I basically, was when a lot of the, just gonna call them the files came out around February or so that exposed a lot of the government stuff and just other things that were going on. It kind of gave me this thought of like, how much more don't I know? All these conspiracies seem to be true now. And it basically put me in this whirlwind of trying to figure out what was real and what was always told as a lie that could actually be real. Went down a lot of rabbit holes, went down a lot of stuff, and eventually stumbled upon spirituality and, starseed talk and all those type of things. And so probably about the end of March, I've been listening to a podcast about it, learning as much as I could, learning, what it was and how to actually do all these terms like alignment and embodiment and everything. And so I had been smoking myself for about 16 years, marijuana, to the point where it put me in a mode where I wanted nothing out of life. Every day I would just go to work, I would go home, I would smoke and sleep. And so I didn't care about my life. I didn't care about my goals. I just wanted to basically get to the end of it, just, one day at a time. And so I was very hopeless in life in general, and I just didn't care. And that was just my vice to do it. So as I went through the podcast, we got up towards April 5th. The host of the podcast talked about their own journey, like quitting. And it was the first time I heard someone that basically described their addiction the way that I tried to defend mine. And so I said, you know what? I've been trying to connect to my higher self. I have, I haven't remembered a dream in 16 years because you don't normally remember them when you smoke as heavy as I did. And I'm like, what if I'm missing the signs? What if there are, my higher self's trying to connect with me? What if there are dreams that I should be remembering that I can't? What if I'm missing all of this because I smoke so much and I haven't done it? So I decided on April 5th to stop. And there was no intervention. It was a self-intervention. And so I had smoked that morning. Later that evening, I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'd always had problems with sleeping. I used to take Benadryl all the time when I had quit for a few weeks for a job,
Really?
like every day, pretty
Love
badly.
the honesty. I love the honesty.
Oh yeah, very open book. And I would have problems with appetite. My mind would race so much that I literally would feel like I'm getting like a jackhammer like into my head because I couldn't stop all the thoughts and stress and depression and everything. So I was fearful of that when I quit. And so I quit that first day. I ended up listening to a meditation, which I never meditated in my life. I went on like Gaia and found like a sleep meditation to try to go to sleep without the Benadryl. And so I did, and it worked. And I woke up the next morning and said, you know what? I got through the night okay. I'm not going to smoke again. I went through that day, got home, started giving myself other things to do so I didn't focus on wanting to smoke like I had been. And I noticed that I didn't have the appetite problems. I didn't have the stress. I wasn't having depressive thoughts. I wasn't having the racing thoughts. All the things that I thought I needed weed for in general to control, which is like helping me function as a person, I was doing all of that without it anymore.
At this point in the stage for you with this leap being taken, what's your end goal or end achievement with the business?
So basically between both the content creation and the business, my goal is to have a very successful coaching business where I can pretty much, you know, get to the point of, having not say seminars, but having like retreats, having, large scale events, being able to reach and support just an infinite number of people. The content creation just furthers that by having a presence in the community, being
Mm.
someone that people, see online and trust and want to go to and receive guidance from. I want to be well known enough that people, go to me for that support and help, and I'm able to provide them with a service. And, you know, the the other parts of it, like, the money, etc., is more to sustain myself so I can dedicate myself to doing this purpose.
You're looking for provision. So you want to like your end goal intention is large scale system of service and healing.
Yes.
So I had talked to William. He had shared with me his first time going to the courts of heaven. And he had an experience the first time, and then he tried again, and then he had a dream. And that is what we are going to speak about today. And he was generous enough to accept to be in the spotlight. But I also want to emphasize that he was absolutely chosen to be in the spotlight for this. Like it's very much so. It's really really important. If you will, just kind of explain, you know, your experience with going into the meditation the first time and even the second time, and like what happened and all that stuff.
Going to the meditation, laid down, had headphones on, went through it. And originally, when I first started doing it, I was probably like 10 minutes in or so. And then I actually had my phone ring, which kind of screwed me up. So I like got up, answered my phone, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start over. I want to do the whole thing from the beginning and get the whole experience. So I did the same thing, headphones on, laid down, was going through it, and I was getting around like the 10 to 12 minute mark, and it's about 30 minutes or so altogether. And so I was getting around that mark, and I knew where I left off at, and I was starting to get to that point. Part of the meditation, they basically start going through like the proceedings, and I'm listening, I'm focusing on my breath, I'm paying attention to everything going on, and then I noticed that the music stopped. And the music, there was no more meditation. And for some reason, I basically like woke up in a way and was like, it's over. And from the time of probably about 14, 15 minutes in, or maybe a little sooner, until the very end of it, I like blacked out. Don't know what happened. I don't remember falling asleep, didn't have any dreams or anything. I just, the whole time in between that just was erased. And then I pretty much came to, was like, the meditation's over. I can see it's still on my computer. Nothing shut down, nothing errored. But I just lost that 10 to 15 minutes, which was essentially the bulk of what was happening, because the initial part of the meditation is you're being walked into how it works and how everything goes down, and then you get into the actual piece of it. And once it started happening, I just blanked out.
So let me explain to you what happened. And it does happen for different reasons. Okay, so to sit here and list every possible reason, we ain't got all night. But basically, I mean, it's a hypnotic instruction legal proceeding that you go through. I literally, if you go back and you actually look at the transcript, I literally tell you to become immersed in this. And if you look up immersion, that's what's happening. It's like a hypnotic state. Now, the difference in experience can be something's going on with an adversary, which we'll get into because you might not be familiar with that language yet. It could be that you are not going to see what the fuck is going on here and you are about to live it. It could be many different reasons why we don't remember in that deep state, but your subconscious remembers. I want to play the memo of the dream, if that's okay with you, Will. And then if you want to add anything to it, just let me know. But I think you were pretty thorough with your Memo?
Yeah, that was the raw emotion of it too, because I think I sent that to you like shortly after I woke up, and like that
Yeah.
was like my initial take. So yeah, you'll hear it in my voice.
Okay. You okay with this then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Authentic.
Pay attention. Pay attention. Like as you listen, just try to even if you close your eyes and listen, the important things for you are will stick out, but notice any images that he talks about, um the entire sequence, and maybe jot down what sticks out to everybody, including you, Will, now at this point while we're dissecting your dream. um Write down whatever comes to mind.
So let me just start by saying I don't remember like a lot. I never remember like a lot of details from dreams. I get what I can. I recorded it on my voice recorder right when I woke up. But the thing I remember is the feelings of hopelessness and oh my god, I've had this happen like one other time where like I had a dream so vivid that I just was in the dream just going, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to resolve this? How am I ever going to, how is this ever going to be better? Like, oh my god, I'm so screwed. Like, this is insane. I'm so incredibly like fucked right now. Like I just can't even understand what I'm supposed to do. Like I just this feeling is so immense. And then I woke up and like it was just this feeling of like, holy shit, that wasn't fucking real. Like it was a dream. It was some shit. But it wasn't this reality I'm currently in. And I was like, wow, that was I like it was almost like a nightmare because of how bad I felt. So I'll tell you the dream quickly from what I remember. So I years ago when I was like 16, I was in the fire department. My dad is a lifelong firefighter, 43 years as a volunteer firefighter. That's been his whole life's mission is, volunteering and serving his community. And when I was younger, I was in the fire department, but this was like, modern day me, not like a young me or anything that I could like think of. And I was in the dream, I was actively in the fire department. I was like a member. And right now, ironically enough, too, my dad's department had been shut down. Um, Basically, the city, the paid fire department, pretty much has been like out for the volunteers and shut down a few of the volunteer departments and like took them over in a way. This happened in the last like few months. So like the department's not even active. My dad's not even actively going to calls anymore because he's like pretty much like forcibly retired. So just that part aside. But I in the dream, everything was normal. It was active, and I don't remember what happened first because something had happened. Whether it was like something going on in my life or something, and like I don't remember what it was, but for some reason, I was like, I want to take one of the engine trucks, like the large, fire trucks, the big ones, and I want to take it. I want to drive it. I want to take it like for a drive, like almost like a joyride, even though like I didn't feel like it was a joyride, but it wasn't like I was going to a call or responding. I just was like, almost like I had to clear my head. So I wanted to take the truck for some reason, which just seemed really odd. That's not a thing anyone would do. So I decided to take the engine and I take this truck out and I go for a ride. And like I'm driving and I'm by myself, there's no one else around, and I just decide I'm gonna take this engine and just go around the corner, do a quick lap. Maybe because I wanted to, get licensed on it or something, so I was gonna practice, who knows. So I'm gonna take this truck and go around the corner. And this is in my hometown where the department is. And as I go, as I take the truck out, there's a cop with full lights and siren coming down the road like he's responding to something. And I'm like, oh, wow, all right, let me pull over. Like, let me let him go by, whatever. And he goes right by me. And then there's another fire truck, lights and siren, that is coming up behind me. And I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, why is this even happening? Which, mind you, in the fire world, you know there's a call going on. It wouldn't just be random like that in your own town. But this truck is just coming down the road, and I'm like, oh no, like, what if they find out what I'm doing? That I'm not supposed to be driving this truck. I'm not licensed on it. And So because that truck was coming down, I tried to get out of the way, but I couldn't stop in time. So I ended up hitting the cars in front of me, and it causes this massive, like accident pileup of like me hitting those cars and that truck like hitting me, and then it causes like 3 or 4 cars to all spread around and get damage and whatever. And it's like this massive incident basically that I caused from driving a truck I shouldn't have ever been driving. And it was just very interesting. And so that happened, and then the next thing I know, I'm in like the meeting room of the firehouse, which like I recognize because like it's a room I've been in multiple times, and I'm sitting at a table, and everyone's talking about what had happened. It was like it fast forwarded to like, me being questioned by like the police weren't even there, ironically enough, but there was like someone, like a female that was like a lawyer that was there, and they were basically trying to like, come at me with charges and everything. And I wasn't even arrested, which in that situation I probably would have been arrested like as soon as it happened. But yeah, so this person is like drilling me, and I have like my dad there, and then another female that's like on my side that was like telling me, hey, just whatever you say, like, we're gonna fight it, we're gonna, whatever. And this woman was like coming at me about the whole incident, what happened, and I'm like, I'll take full accountability. I'm sorry. It's for me the biggest thing that really my biggest, regret about this entire situation. I had no harm. I meant no harm. I meant no issue. The biggest, regret for me was letting my dad down and, bringing shame to my dad for me causing this massive incident that now is well known. And, it was my fault that it happened. And now I have to look at my dad, who I've always respected and loved and, thought the world of. And I have to look at him with this shame of this happening and me causing this whole incident. And it was like the worst feeling of shame and hopelessness. And just like, I don't have a way to reverse this. I don't have a way to, like, 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 basically like get out of this. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm screwed. I'm gonna get arrested. I'm gonna go to jail. I'm just completely screwed. And it was like the worst feeling ever of just like feeling like that. I'm somebody that like hasn't really had run-ins with the law or like anything my whole life. I've been pretty, whatever you want to call it, like clean slate as far as things go like that. But it was just the worst feeling of like, I screwed up big time and now I'm so fucked. I don't even know what I'm going to do to get out of this. And I don't know how I'm going to move forward from this. And then I woke up to my alarm and was just like, just saying to myself over and over, what the fuck? Like, for one moment, I'm just in this state of mind of like, there's no way I'm getting out of this. There's no way this is going to be better. I don't know how this is going to resolve. And then I wake up and was like, it was a dream. Holy shit. It was a fucking dream. It was the most vivid, just wild dream. I'm still almost like not shaking, but like I'm still just in shock from it.
Shook it.
Like of how wild it was. It was truly just wow. So I don't know. I try to take the symbolism away from things, like in general, but that one just really threw me for a loop. I've never done anything to make my dad shameful. I've never wanted to, never, had those type of reckless behaviors, but just like that dream, it just always there. And I don't know, but it was pretty wild. But I had set my alarm for 3 this morning, and that's when I woke up. And I woke up to that alarm, and it kind of saved me from enduring more of that dream because it was just really rough.
Let's think symbolically. Let's think, like Diana said, personal and familiar. Okay. Why is he in a firehouse? What is a firehouse?
The father representation.
Say that again, Ange.
It's representative of his father. And there's a
Okay.
lot of comfort there with his father. And he probably was at this firehouse a lot as a kid. And it is very familiar to him. He probably could walk through and name everything in there.
My entire life, from the moment I was born, I was in that firehouse. So very spot on.
Also by design. What else? Mm-mm. What else?
Firehouses are typically like safe havens,
Mm-hmm.
like safe spaces.
Why? Why are they
Um,
safe spaces?
Legally, you can surrender a child there. You go there
Okay.
for help.
Okay.
Because
So-
he's been there, it's like a sacred spot, almost like a temple.
Okay, but back it up because I like where you were going before that. You said people go, it's a safe space. That's what you said?
Yeah.
Why is it a safe space? Logically, why is a fireplace, a firehouse, a safe space in real world, real life?
Rescue, medical supplies,
Fires.
water.
What'd you say, Ange?
They put out their purpose in general first is to put out fires, is to come to the rescue, come to save people by putting out fires.
It's structurally sound.
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot they do have you go during a tornado
What
sometimes.
else? What else?
They're there to help.
Say it again, Roz.
They're there to help
They
others.
are there in service. They are there in service. Your father was there in service. He ain't even got to be spiritual. And in his life, he was there to be of service, right? Beautiful. All those things, the biggest thing being a space of service. Everybody agree with that? Anybody want to add to it? Okay. Next thing that happens is the fire truck, right?
Yeah, basically, like I had a feeling of like wanting either like something. There was a part of the dream I don't fully remember, but there was like almost something that left me either like unsettled or just feeling a type of way, and that's why I wanted to go clear my head, and that's what led to the fire truck.
Okay. Let's talk about the fire truck. Same way. Why the fire truck? Why? Let's just look, I'm gonna simplify it, but I love the way that your brains are working right now because I can hear all the wheels turning. And it makes me so happy because these are real fucking questions. Let's just look at the truck in and of itself, the way we did the firehouse. Let's talk about that. What does that represent symbolically and in real life?
The truck itself represents movement without it being specifically a fire truck, but the truck is moving, so that's forward movement.
It also represents power.
It's a big ass truck.
It is a big ass truck.
Got a lot of buttons.
Also a symbol of hope.
Symbol of hope.
Yep.
Symbol of resources.
There's also a command of respect. Other people on the road show those vehicles respect.
Because why? Why did they throw? Why? Why would you show respect?
Because the mission that they're on is to save a life, is to save people. They're on a mission.
They're there for the utmost good.
They're a higher priority.
Yes.
Okay. What else?
I don't know that this will land, but even back at the firehouse, I have this feeling as it relates to William of expectation. Like there's an expectation on him.
Could be. Could be. I mean, the dynamic between him and his mom, or even in the dream, there's definitely pressure of an expectation. There's societal pressure on a man. You know how rare it is to find a genuine, authentic man in the spiritual community that ain't got a side fucking quest?
Yep.
Not a lot. Okay. All valid. I gotta point this out, and Will said it too. Like, he wasn't allowed to take this truck. He wasn't allowed to take the truck. It wasn't meant for a joyride. So he took a vehicle of hope, a vehicle of resources for his own need to clear his head. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna say this, right? Like I've walked past an empty fire truck running in a firehouse, because firehouses follow me too, bitch. And I've been tempted to sneak a peek, push a button, get on a ladder, just out of pure curiosity. But I knew that we can't be doing that. But in the dream, okay, he knew what its purpose was for. We took it anyways. There wasn't a call. That's another big thing here. There wasn't a call. You said that specifically. You're like, there was no calls. Nobody was saying, help me.
So you're saying that you took the vehicle that you're not licensed to. What could that represent? Anyone can answer, just out of curiosity.
Fair. Thank you. I'm over here not talking.
Attempting to do before you're ready to.
Qualified, maybe?
Yeah, not qualified. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
We surely
Okay, good.
can. We surely can.
It also represents the legal aspect of it. And that, if he'd had that, even if he didn't have permission to take it and there was no call, then he's going to get in trouble with the fire department, with the state, with the county, whatever. But because there's no licensure and he's aware of it, it now becomes a legal thing.
So that falls under jurisdiction and authority.
Yes, it does.
Because in fire department, I assume fire departments work very similarly to like police departments and military. There's rankings. They're designed to be of service to help people, actually ended up unintentionally causing harm. That's where we're at. Then, no, wait, I'm sorry. Dee, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say he initially said he had good intentions. However, why are good intentions no longer enough once other people can be affected by your choices? I mean, you have to think about that. What stood out to you about that?
Can you say that again one more time, Dee? What, why are good intentions what?
Why are good intentions no longer enough once other people can be affected by your choices?
He's coming in deep. Damn.
Because I would probably say to answer that, because once other people are involved, I feel like there's a chance that what I'm doing is now affecting others, and I'm not just risking things for myself, but now my risks are basically causing other people either harm or, misdoing that they may not have signed up for, from my own decisions. And so I don't want to impact others with the decisions that I make for myself.
I'm asking this for a reason, so not to pry, but in regards to your father's financial position, is he stable?
Yeah, very stable.
So very stable. So a way was always made for him to pursue this passion.
Yeah, he always made sure that he was able to provide for his family, worked his jobs. He would work 40, 50 something hours and work overtime and still get up at 3 a.m. to go to a call and then wake up and go to work. He never compromised his responsibilities to still be able to serve. He would just sacrifice or compromise his own well-being to do so.
Right. So he followed his passion. He dedicated his time. That service and commitment provided a way for him to financially become stable, and it provided provision for him after, right? Like he's in, he didn't step out going, you know, as chief and as receiving all of these awards. He had to go up the ladder like everything else. And the more he went up the ladder, the more he perfected his stewardship, the more that was provided for him, not even necessarily in wealth and money, but even opportunities, right? Because I'm sure he's, you know, a guy, because you're knee deep in the community. So you have weight to your, as you go up this ladder. I'm bringing that up because his passion is no different than your passion. But there is a difference in where we're at in the development of our passion. And it's a clear contrast in the dream, right? In the courtroom, because you're there as well. Does that make sense the way I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
How can you prepare here in the physical to do what you feel you're called to do? You know, to ensure that you are doing it correctly, or you're in it, not saying correctly like you're doing something wrong, but where you're actually helping someone else heal, like truly heal.
I'm
Like
going to answer that.
Huh?
I said, I'm going to answer that
Oh.
because the honest answer is he hasn't had enough experience to really see the full manifestation of that, even if, because I know he's had validation.
Mm-hmm.
But validation don't mean shit when it comes to experience. I'm no different. These rules apply to me too. Even though there's that thirst or that passion that's always going to be there, because that's always going to be there for you too, Will, like your fire brother. Fire also likes to resist things. I resisted a lot of things. And just, it's so much better when you're in the same rhythm and you're not, you're excited, but that anticipation isn't consuming. I'm not saying that it is, but it can be. It can be consuming to you, right? Like, how many of you have had a revelation and then did a 3-day deep dive? A 3-day deep dive because we are trying to process what the fuck they just said. Will's 5 months have been like that. Will's 5 months have been like that, right? All with purpose. All with purpose.
Yeah, and then you get kind of like, you get on this like almost adrenaline because of the at the pace in which it's going. So that only feeds that sense of urgency to, like, I guess, prove yourself, or like you're trying to come into balance between that. How can you use that sense of urgency but still not lose like the practicality of that, of your mission or what you're trying to do? So having like finding the way to reconcile that, the sense of urgency, with the actual telling the difference of what a genuine calling to do the work is.
The dream showed you in a way that you would understand, exactly like Diana said, at what was being addressed in the courts both times, from the time that you remembered, because you did see some things that second time, and then the time when you were kind of blacked out. But here's what the message is. You took a huge leap of faith. You have a passion. You have found the beginning of your calling. Can we all agree on that? You really have. And ain't nobody up in this bitch going to deny the fact that you are a fast learner. But the reason Tomas and Sophia were beside you, advocating for you, is because they want you to slow down before you unintentionally, unknowingly cause harm, because your intention to be of service it doesn't hold as much weight as the experience that is designed for you to go through it will. All those the visions that you have of having multiple systems of service to help people, that's yes. You got to slow down and trust the process. And I genuinely appreciate you allowing us to go through this, because for me personally, and for some of these girls up in the group, we've been doing groups for almost 4 years now. Okay. And my biggest thing with people when it comes to intuitive discernment and service, it's so many different colors, it's expressed in so many different ways. But recognition of familiarity is not always the absolute truth. And you're only going to learn that with experience, which is why I provide spaces for people, because if you recognize a trauma in somebody, that's beautiful. You have something to connect with that presents an opportunity to heal. But if you just visit the trauma and hang out there, you are not healing it. And if you want to be of service, which I believe that you do, to the extent of what you're saying, then you have to not only be able to recognize, let's say trauma, let's say signals, let's say notifications, discernment and decoding, pattern recognition, all things of design of this universe, we'll say, or in your own wordings, your understanding of that, in order to be the vessel to deliver the message. Everything, we need both. We need the physical human experience of remembering. We need the spiritual energetic remembrance of what was before. We need the Most High to show us all the things. And then we need to be willing to do whatever it takes to do that. You've already proven you are willing, because everything is a part of the whole. That's why someone can understand themselves with astrology, and somebody else can understand themselves to the same degree with tarot, and somebody else can understand themselves through organized religion, tainted 7 ways from Sunday, and somebody can go another way and not have any spiritual factor in it whatsoever. There's lessons in every motherfucking thing. So you are qualified in many areas that you just haven't seen clearly yet. That's where I would put your focus, because what's going to happen is once you have a realization on the past, someone's going to be put in your path, and they're going to bring up something relative to your experience, and you're like, fuck bitch, I can speak to that. Let me talk to you about that real quick. Pull up a seat. Here's my business card. Because you got the experience to talk about that, and you had the revelation possibly connected to the spiritual aspect. That's wisdom. You're remembering these things. The goal is to teach people how to slow down, ask evolved questions from a good place, and to recognize the difference between what they're actually receiving versus what their mind is creating afterwards. Because intuition is real, right? But so is trauma. So is fear, so is familiarity, so is projection, so is all the things, right? And they all use the same microphone. If you'd like to join us for the monthly ceremonies of remembrance, you can do so at returntowisdom.com. And if you don't know where to begin, just go where whatever resonates with you, and use some discernment with that, of course, as always, because receiving information is one thing, learning how to work with it responsibly, that's where wisdom comes in.